Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. Today we're doing something fun. I want to decorate my front entry, but before I do that, I would love to share with you some of my most favorite fall finds that I have recently sourced from local thrift stores and antique stores. And I really do advocate for finding bargains at thrift stores. Even though thrift store prices have gone up, I still feel like there are some great deals to be found. I just have found myself lately being a lot more selective in what I decide to bring home because when the prices go up, you have to obviously dedicate a little bit more time and effort into sourcing items that you truly love. And that's what we're doing today. I want to share with you a bunch of items that we'll be using in my hutch and on my entry coffee area, as well as the little section to the right of my door where I have a really pretty bar where I love to hang things. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So grab your favorite fall cozy beverage and let's start with the fall decorating off today in my front entry. So I just brewed myself a nice pot of coffee. It's just finishing up. In case you hear some rumbling going on behind me, that's what it is. I've got my cozy cup of nice cinnamon flavored coffee, and we're gonna be going through a few items, like I had said just a moment ago, that I felt very inspired by this year for fall decorating. And one of the things that I will tell you is that most of these items are from Goodwill, even though the Goodwill prices are high. I also have a few local thrift stores that I love to frequent, but lately I have not been doing so well at those. And so you'll see as we go along where each of the items are from. And if I still have the tags on them, I'll share the price with you. If not, just know that everything I'm going to share today was from a thrift store. So first up, whenever I think about fall, the two go-to foods that come to mind is pumpkin and apples. And I've gone back and forth in my mind this year about whether or not I want to decorate with pumpkins or with apples. I think it's mainly going to be pumpkins. I had mentioned in a previous video that I am going to go to the max with all of the fall things. And apples are going to take a second place seat, but they are going to be important in my entryway. This basket was one that I thrifted a few years ago. I do not still have the tag on it, but I think I paid $2.98 for it at Goodwill. I love the warm, rustic tone of it. It has a very farm vibe, almost like we're gonna go apple picking out in the orchard. And also, every single one of these apples were thrifted over the course of many years' time. Sometimes you can find faux fruit in like a plastic baggie in Goodwill for $3.98 or, random price. Oftentimes you'll find them apples and pears together. I always look for fall fruit specifically just because I like to decorate with faux apples, faux pears, and faux pumpkins in the fall. These are just your typical like foam ones that you can buy at craft stores. But interestingly enough, I also picked up these. These look very realistic. They're actually wood. They're quite heavy. I think I picked these up at Goodwill as well. I think I grabbed these last year and I got 6 of them for I think $4.98. So, you can find really great deals. And oftentimes when I'm shopping and when I'm thrifting, I don't find items that go together like this in the same shopping trip. So I do encourage you, if you're thrifting, to keep going back, have a running list. I keep a list in my phone in my notes so that I know what I'm looking for, and I can always refer to that so that I can see what I still need and fill in any gaps as I go along throughout the year. So something that I'm always on the hunt for whenever I'm thrifting is items that are copper. I love using copper in the fall. I know a lot of you guys do as well. Goodwill is a great place to find copper pieces. You can find them at antique stores also, but honestly, they tend to be a little bit more expensive when you find them in the antique store, just because you've already had someone else do all the finding and searching and sourcing for you. So I consider that to be a convenience fee, but often if the item is good enough, I will pay the additional price for the antique store pricing. Now this one I actually found at a garage sale, and the tag on the bottom says that I paid $2 for it, which I don't doubt it. I just don't recall because I grabbed this one I think 2 years ago. I love the patina on this. There's just something about old copper that really is charming. I think it brings a very cottagey look, and the fact that it looks like it's dented and banged, it's well loved, I think. And items like this really bring in a lot of charming detail to a kitchen workstation or for shelf styling. I'm going to be using this as well as a lot of these other pieces in my coffee bar behind me. So Whenever possible, I am always on the hunt for really beautiful copper pieces, whether it be at Goodwill or a yard sale or anywhere else. Copper for me has been a go-to for fall. I do have a few other copper pieces in my collection today, but this is one that I actually found in a very recent thrift shopping trip. This one was $2.98. Many of you may have seen this one in a previous video. I want to say it was about a month ago that I sourced this. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the handles on the side. I love finding little short, stocky pieces like this because one of the things that I always try to do is vary the items. You'll see when we decorate the coffee bar, I like to vary the heights of the items, and finding items that are short and stocky like this to place in the front of maybe a art frame or some sort of squared thing that can help soften the lines of whatever that item is, I think is very helpful in styling. So this one for $2.98 at Goodwill was a great find, and this has some weight to it. I feel like this is definitely worth at least $3, maybe even more. So this one I was very happy with, and I can't wait to use this in the coffee bar. Now I'm thinking that this next item I also sourced in that same shopping trip where I found that little copper pot that we had just spoken about, and it's this really beautiful Cappy's shell star. It's got the candle inside. I think I need a shorter candle because you can see the candle's really high. It is a little bit dirty. It's a little bit banged up. The gold isn't, it's not very heavy. It's not very expensive. Probably it was mass produced and sold maybe at like a local Walmart or something like that. I don't know when or where from, so I'm just guessing. But this one was $2.98. And one of the things that I plan to try to do this year, I actually did this last year. A lot of you guys that were around last year, you may remember this. Most of my home is going to be decked out in all of the fall colors. I am going with rust and brown and beige and cream and taupe. I just want to go crazy. Even with orange, I'm going to go traditional fall. But because of that, I like to keep things very neutral in my hutch. The wood on my hutch is very, very dark, and so I love bringing in all of my white pictures. I have a few white pumpkins, and I think this will be a really pretty accent for the neutral space that I'm going to create inside the hutch. I just feel like having the hutch with neutral decor really gives your eye a sense of restfulness when you finally look around at all the decor and you see all the bright, bold colors, and then your eye rests on the hutch and you've got this really beautiful and serene neutral color palette. I also do like neutrals just because the hutch is directly across from the kitchen, and so I think it brings a lot of balance in. Because as you can see, everything in my kitchen is very neutral and very white and very, well, it's pretty and I like it, has a cottage vibe. I just feel like bringing in neutral pieces, especially for the fall, is a great way to go to create a little bit of balance with all of the color. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick sip here, and I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope you're enjoying today's video. Leave me a comment below. Let me know, are you up to fall planning? Have you even thought about it yet? Are you pretty much just thinking about summer? Because you know me, I'm thinking about fall all year long. Now up next is an item that I actually found at an antique store, but I found it for a really great price. And it is this beautiful pottery jug. I absolutely love pieces like this that are two-toned, especially when they come in the colors of the season. This is beautiful. It doesn't have a maker's mark on it, but I can tell that it is true pottery. I don't know if it's ironstone. Maybe you guys know, but I feel like it is a perfect addition to use on my shelving in my coffee bar. I love the fact that I could throw some floral pieces in here, like some stems, and give it a beautiful, timeless look as a vase. I could use this over here where I have my copper pot, copper pitcher that's holding my wood spoons. I've actually done that in the past. I've used this to hold all of my utensils. A few years ago, I used it on the other side of the stove, and I filled it with beautiful florals to fill up the corner where the white backsplash is. Pieces like this are so versatile, and so oftentimes I don't mind spending a little bit more money when I source them at antique stores, but if you can find them at a thrift store, that's the way to go as far as I'm concerned. So many of you guys know that I love thrifting baskets, and there's a basket that I have been using in my hutch for almost a year now. It's been in the same spot since last fall, actually, and it's probably gonna stay there because it absolutely looks perfect where it is, and it is this really beautiful basket that I thrifted at Goodwill last year. I don't remember the price. I've already taken off the tag. But I remember last year, some of you guys might remember this too, that I actually was able to find this online, and I remember it being like a $40 basket. So I know I paid under $6 for it because I generally will not go above $6. That's like my price point that I won't cross when it comes to sourcing baskets at a thrift store. So I know this one was very inexpensive and I absolutely love it. I think it's perfect for fall because it brings in all of those warm, rich tones that I love for the fall season. Usually I have this one standing up at the back of my hutch on the top shelf because it helps with the back of my hutch. You'll see when we start decorating, it's mirrored, which is nice. It reflects a lot of light and it helps my house to look a little bit bigger, but I don't always love that reflective quality just because I feel like it's kind of cold. And so having baskets like this that I can set against the mirrored section helps to warm up that space, and it creates a really pretty backdrop for whatever item I'm putting in the front of it. Now, another thing that I absolutely love to find are useful kitchenware items and bowls, ramekins, things like that. I love using those on my shelf styling. And I thrifted both of these wooden bowls last year at Goodwill for $1.98. And it's funny because oftentimes in the past, I used to overlook items like this because I think to myself, well, I'm not going to use them for food. I'm not going to serve anything in them or use them for dipping or anything. So why would I buy them? But honestly, beautiful wood pieces like this really do create a lot of texture and organic beauty in shelf styling. So whenever I come across little pieces like this that I can stack, or maybe lay some florals in, or if it was a little bit of a larger bowl, maybe lay a hand towel out of it, that's a great way to warm up your space for the fall season. And because my coffee bar is right next to the kitchen, I feel like bowls are very appropriate and they bring sort of a useful, functional look to the shelves, even though everything over there, hardly any of it is going to be functional. That is a very important area in the house, trust me, because I am a coffee girl, but the shelving is purely for aesthetics. I don't usually have anything up there that I go to for use. So even though these look like they might not be useful when you pass by them at the thrift store, pick them up and you'll see we're going to use them in the coffee bar today as a way to bring in a little bit of that rustic, organic warmth into the season. Something else I absolutely love are unique pottery pieces. So whenever I'm thrifting, I always am on the hunt for pieces like this that were handmade. You can see it has someone's signature and date. And this is such a beautiful handmade pottery piece that I sourced at Goodwill. I want to say it was $3.98. It may have been less than that, but I love pieces like this. I'm probably going to end up using this to hold my spoons in my coffee bar. This is just a fun way to bring in some texture and some organic elements for sort of rounding out that warmth and coziness that I'm looking for in the kitchen and coffee bar. Now, I know that I had mentioned that I do have a few more copper pieces, so I want to share with you the last two copper pieces that I have. This one was $3.98, an absolutely beautiful little saucepan. It does need to be cleaned up a little bit. It looks like it's got whatever the sticker was on the bottom is still stuck to it. It's a little bit sticky there. But this is absolutely perfect for hanging next to my door where I have my little hooks. I think this is going to bring in a lot of warmth. A lot of the people that I watch hang them like up above their stove, but I just don't have room for that because you guys know I have my microwave here. So the hooks next to my door is a great place to hang beautiful copper kitchenware like this. And then I have one more beautiful copper piece that I'll also probably be hanging on those hooks. Both of these thrifted pieces, that one I just shared with you and this one, I found recently. I want to say it was about a month ago. This one was $4.98 and I absolutely love this copper pan. I think it's really pretty and I think it's going to be a great addition to my hooks. I'm probably going to have to remove the lid because, when I hang it, I don't want the lid to fall off. But I just think pieces like this are so easy to find when thrifting. And whenever you can source items like this, I feel like you're bringing a lot of unique qualities into your home. I love shopping retail. Don't get me wrong. I love a good new piece, but boy, there is just something so charming about pieces like this when it comes to fall decorating or really year-round decorating, actually. Now, this last piece before we get to decorating is actually one of my favorites. I picked this up for $3.98 at Goodwill. This is actually from the Better Homes and Gardens line at Walmart. I don't know when it was new in store, but you guys know I am a sucker for hobnail. Absolutely love hobnail, and I actually have the matching salt and pepper shakers to this. So I'm probably not going to use them with each other, like the salt and pepper shakers are going to be probably somewhere else. But I am thinking that I'm going to use this year instead of for utensils, which is what I think it was meant to be. I think I'm going to use it for these really pretty blackberry stems that I picked up at Hobby Lobby last year. I'll have to kind of play around with them and see how they look, but I think that's going to be a really pretty addition into one of the shelves of my hutch. So I think I'm going to use this and a lot of those other neutral pieces, as well as all of the copper and all of the wood elements, bringing in the pottery, and we're doing it all on a budget because most of the things that we'll be using today are thrifted. So let's get to decorating because that's the fun part. Okay, we're going to start up at the top shelf. Now you can see that I already have on the top shelf some white pictures. I've been playing around with a little bit of the orientations of the ones on the right. I still need to play around with them and make them look good. On the left, I have my white false graph picture, which I thrifted. Actually, everything on that top shelf has been thrifted except for the marble mortar and pestle on the left. I picked that up at Home Goods. And we're gonna come in with this basket. I am gonna set this on the top shelf in the center. And you guys, I'm just doing this in a really casual way. Oftentimes I do really edited decorating, but I just want to keep things casual with you guys today. I've been having a lot of fun doing that. Here's that beautiful star that we had just mentioned a few moments ago, and I think that is a perfect way for it to stand out when I put it here in front of the basket. And one of the things I love is that the light is so pretty shining down on this star, especially in the evenings when the room is dark. And I'm just gonna top it off with one more thrifted pitcher. This is an ironstone pitcher that I've had for years. This large one was given to me when I got married, actually, and then everything else was thrifted. Got that mortar and pestle from Home Goods. So I think that's a really pretty look. And now we're gonna move down to the center shelf. So for the center shelf, I have this old cutting board. It's actually not as old as it looks. I did a little bit of a DIY technique on this to make it look older than it was. But I did thrift this quite a long time ago. One of the things I don't love about this hutch, and I love almost everything about it, I don't love the glass shelves. So whenever possible, I add in wooden cutting boards or cookbooks as a way to kind of mask the glass because, again, the glass has a little bit more of a modern look to me that I don't really enjoy. I like things to look a little bit more warm and quaint and more like a cottage. So adding in pieces like this as a way to kind of mask the mirrored section and the glass section. It doesn't mask it completely, but it does help a little bit to warm up that space. Now, on top of that, I'm going to add in these canisters. Now, I grabbed these at Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago. They were on clearance after the summer season was over, and I think I paid like $2 for each of them. So I have this one that I'm going to keep the lid on, and this one's really pretty, as well as the second one. Now, I do still have the lid for this, but I'm going to be using this with these neutral colored baby's breath, almost like a vase. I know it's a canister, but one of the things I like to try to do is use things in a unique way. So I'm going to be adding this here on the side, and the fact that they are not the same size and the florals kind of soften the lines, I think is a really pretty look. We're going to keep things pretty simple. That piece of string is really bothering me. So I'm just going to turn that around so you can't see it. And that's a nice way to keep things very simple and elegant and also neutral. That's one of the things we're going for. And I do realize that you guys cannot see very well what I'm doing here. I can't film it from the front because my doors slide. They don't open up, which is nice for the hutch design, but it's terrible for filming. So I'm gonna do the best I can, and then I'll show you a front view. Basically, I have this white bowl here, and then on top of that, I have a beautiful rust-colored hand towel that I got from the Target Hearth and Hand line last year. And then I'm just gonna rest this really beautiful wreath on the top of that white bowl. And then to that, I'm going to add this white pumpkin with the gold handle. I think this is a really pretty way to bring in a pop of elegant, neutral pumpkin color decor without going overboard. Now, that doesn't look like much from there, but when you look at it from the front, the glare is really difficult, you guys, I'm sorry. But it is really a pretty accent for the center. And one of the things I want to try to do is use the white bowl as a way to anchor the center position of the hutch. You'll see I try to do like a checkerboard pattern where I'm using white and white and white in the center, and then I'm gonna actually come down in just a moment and share with you the bottom shelf where I have 2 more white pieces on the corners to make a very balanced look. Okay, so now we're gonna move over to this side, and you can see I have another wood cutting board here because again, I'm trying really hard to warm up the space. Oh, that wreath made a big mess back there. I'm trying really hard to warm up the space, and one of the ways that I'm going to bring in a lot of texture and a lot of warmth is with this really beautiful rattan vase that I picked up at the Target dollar spot this year. I think it was $5. And some more of this neutral baby's breath because I really do want to balance out the florals that I have on that middle shelf on that side with this one. Now I'll be placing this in the back because I really want to use that to camouflage the mirrored section. It's not meant to be the main focus. It's meant to be a backdrop. And then in front of that backdrop, I'm going to come in with my hobnail salt and pepper shakers, which you guys know I love the hobnail. I had just mentioned that a little bit ago. Gonna bring this in on this side as a way to kind of accent the white from the baby's breath and the cream. And then I'm also going to be using some wooden candle holders. I have used these in so many different ways around my house. I absolutely love them. I picked them up at Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago. And one of the things I want to try to do is bring the wood down so that I have a lot of varying heights. So I'm going to keep this one here off of the cutting board, and then I'm going to put this one on top to kind of create that cascading look. And then for one more piece of visual interest, I'm bringing in this. This is a thrifted creamer that I got years ago. I love this shaped handle. I think that's so pretty. And that's a really pretty way to use the wood and the wicker as a backdrop and then kind of allow the neutral pieces to step forward and kind of be the showstopper. So I think that's a really pretty vignette. And I love the way it balances out the sides. And once I'm done, I'll share all of the details with you up close. But I really love the way that looked. Now, don't be afraid to get in there and kind of mess around with the placement of everything. It's got to look just right to your eye, and this is something that I do very often. You guys don't often see it on camera, but I am constantly arranging and rearranging, and that's part of the fun. Next up, we're going to be working on the bottom right section, and I think I've come up with something very simple that I'm going to be using here. I know I had shared with you guys that I plan to use those blackberry stems in the hobnail utensil holder and use it as a vase. So I'm gonna come in with that, kind of play around with the stems and help them to create a little bit more of like a whimsical look, something to counter the baby's breath that I have on the top shelf. And I just hate dealing with stems. They always give me such a hard time. So I'll probably come in and mess with that a little bit more, but you guys get the idea. This is something that I'm trying to fill up the space with and create almost like an umbrella. And then for the bottom section, I'm coming in with this copper pot that we had mentioned. I think this is a really pretty piece as a standalone, but I do love to set it in front of other items like that for a backdrop. And then to balance out the copper, I have this scissor that I picked up at the Hearth and Hand collection, I want to say last fall, maybe it was last fall. I can't remember actually, but I'm just going to lean it up against that hobnail vase just to create a little bit of balance. Again, going to mess around with it and kind of make sure that everything looks right, trying to create balance, not symmetry. I'm not a big symmetrical person, but I do like balance. And you'll notice again, I've got the wood cutting board, and I don't actually need that because this is wood, but I think it helps to tie in with all of the wood cutting boards and make that look more purposeful so that I have wood cutting board base in many of the sections. Makes it look like I did it a little bit more on purpose and not like I'm trying to mask something. Now, because I have so much going on in the middle shelf, I'm keeping things simple here at the bottom shelf. I'm just gonna keep that glass cake stand in here in the center position. I want to keep it empty just in case I need to use it for entertaining. And then you'll see that on this side, I have stacked 2 more cutting boards because I do plan to use these as a riser for a simple teapot. This is one that many of you have seen. I picked this up from the Hearth and Hand line last year. I want to say it was fall of last year actually, and I really love it. And I think it's great because it's got copper on it and it helps to balance out some of the copper pieces that we just placed on the right side. So this piece is going to go here on top of these 2 wood cutting boards as a way to bring in one more white element to finalize that white checkerboard pattern on the hutch. Let me close this up and give you a close-up look of how this looks. Love the way this turned out. I love that white checkerboard pattern that almost creates a beautiful sense of balance and gives your eye a place to rest here in all of the busyness of all of the fall fun colors. Now for the top shelf, I'm starting with a wood backdrop. A lot of the coloring here in this little coffee bar is plain white beadboard. So this is going to really help me warm up the space. And then I'm going to add in this Better Homes and Gardens planter. I actually love using this for wooden utensils. I think this is a really perfect way to bring in some rustic tones and a little bit of grittiness to the design, especially because that cutting board is roughed up. It's pretty old. I actually thrifted that, but I didn't want something that looked pristine and perfect over here. I wanted something that was a little bit more gritty looking, and I think this does the trick. Now in the center, I'm going to be adding in this cake stand, and I love having this here because this is quick and easy to reach for whenever I make cookies or pumpkin bread or any kind of muffin. It's quick to reach and be able to use that. Now to finish off this side, I'm going to add in, actually I have two of these. This is one that I found a couple of years ago at my antique store. And then I have this other picture here that I recently found while I was shopping with my friend Angie from the Bumblebee Farmhouse. A lot of you guys know Angie, and a lot of you are praying for her, and I hope you continue to do so. But I picked this up when I was thrifting with her down in Sarasota. So I've got the matching set there, and I think that's really pretty. The only thing it's missing is a little bit of bling. So I'm going to bring in this little set of copper measuring cups that I picked up at Home Goods last year. I paid $9.99 for them, and I think they are really cute. I don't need the tag anymore, so I'm gonna take that off. And I'm gonna place that here just for a little bit of reflective prettiness in front of this beautiful black planter. Now, again, you gotta mess around with it, make it exactly how you want it before you step back and see the finished product. Next up on the middle shelf, I'm coming in first with this really beautiful piece of art. I did thrift this, but it is gorgeous. I love using this in so many different places around my house. I love the way it leans against the backsplash and creates a lot of depth and interest. Now, most of the items that I've been talking about today have been thrifted. I have this other beautiful copper pot that I'm using as a place to hold some really beautiful florals for fall, to bring in those oranges and rust colors. This is actually not a thrift find. This is one that I found on Amazon. When I bought it, it was beautiful and shiny and pristine copper, but now it is beginning to tarnish, and it has that beautiful aged copper look that I love so much. In front of that, though, I am going to place the copper pot that I thrifted that we had spoken about earlier in the video. I think putting two pots side by side like this are a really great way to make a bold impact. And I love the shape of the handle and how it sort of covers a portion of the artwork, and it creates this beautiful varying size for visual interest. Now on the right side, I'm going to keep things very simple with this beautiful two-tone pitcher. And then in front of that, I'm going to use this butter dish. Now, a lot of you guys might be curious as to why I'm using a butter dish in my coffee bar. And part of the reason is because I actually put butter in my coffee every single morning. I love Kerrygold Irish butter. I think it's a great addition to make a really warm, cozy cup of coffee in the morning, especially on those cold mornings. Now we're gonna move down to the base section where the coffee maker is, and I'm keeping things very simple on the first shelf. Now on the bottom shelf, I'm keeping things very simple. I have an adorable lamp that I picked up from Target this year. It's one of the very few things that I actually took home from the Hearth and Hand line. I love how cute it is and how little. On the screen, it probably does not create a great warm, cozy glow the way it does in real life. But trust me when I tell you, it is the perfect backdrop for lighting for this bottom shelf. Now in front of that, I'm going to place this really beautiful pottery piece that we mentioned during the first portion of the video, along with some really adorable pumpkin coffee stirring spoons, as well as those really beautiful wooden bowls that I had mentioned, just to bring in a touch of warmth to the space. And then in front of that, I need somewhere to place my spoon after I'm done stirring my butter into my coffee. So that beautiful scalloped dish is perfect for that. And then on the right side, I'm keeping things simple with those neutral colored cookbooks, as well as some really cute pumpkin mugs. Now for the hooks beside my entry door, I have just a simple cutting board along with a really pretty hand towel with a plaid print in the colors of fall. And then I'm going to come in also with this really beautiful stool. I sourced this at an antique store recently, and I love that beautiful rustic look of it. Now in front of that, I'm going to place a basket. And this is also a basket that I thrifted. It has a little bit of a yellow tone to it. Now I mainly want to use this first basket as a riser for the second basket that has that beautiful warm tone and all of those gorgeous apples. Now on top of the stool, I want to come in with this planter basket that I picked up from Target in the summer this year, and I love that scalloped edge and the rattan look of it. I think it's a perfect way to bring in some more earthy tones and textures, and these beautiful florals are absolutely perfect for fall. So I'm going to set those here on top of my stool, and then beside that I'm going to come in with one simple rustic pumpkin. Now I really like the way this is shaping up, but you cannot go wrong with more pieces of copper. So I'm going to add in to both of the outside hooks my two beautiful copper pieces that I thrifted this year to bring in that beautiful, cozy, welcoming fall charm. Well, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how my front entry came together. Leave me a comment below, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, check out that video right there. It's a really good one. Bye-bye.